Essays by Thomas Troward. Number 12, A Lesson from Browning. Imbalance. Perhaps you know a little poem of Browning's called An Epistle Containing the Strange Medical Experience of Karshish, the Arab Physician. The somewhat weird conception is that the Arab physician, traveling in Palestine soon after the date when the Gospel narrative closes, meets with Lazarus, whom Jesus raised from the dead, and in this letter to a medical friend describes the strange effect which his vision of the other life has produced upon the resurrected man. The poem should be studied as a whole, but for the present a few lines selected here and there must do duty to indicate the character of the change which has come over Lazarus. After comparing him to a beggar who, having suddenly received boundless wealth, is unable to regulate its use to his requirements. Karshish continues, So here we call the treasure knowledge, say, increased beyond the fleshly faculty, heaven open to a soul while yet on earth, earth forced on a soul's use while seen heaven. The man is witless of the size, the sum, the value in proportion of all things. In fact, he has become conscious of the spiritual life around the earthly life. The law of that is known to him as this: his heart and brain move there, his feet stay here, and the result is a loss of mental balance entirely unfitting him for the affairs of ordinary life. Cosmic consciousness. Now, there can be no doubt that Browning had a far more serious intention in writing this poem than just to record a fantastic notion that flitted through his mind. If we read between the lines, it must be clear from the general tenor of his writing that, however he may have acquired it, Browning had a very deep acquaintance with the inner region of spiritual causes, which gave rise to all that we see of outward phenomenal manifestation. There are continual allusions in his works to the life beyond the veil, and it is to this suggestion of some mystery underlying his words that we owe the many attempts to fathom his meaning expressed through Browning societies, and the like attempts which fail or succeed according as they are made from the without or from the within. No one was better qualified than the poet to realize the immense benefits of the inner knowledge, and for the same reason he is also qualified to warn us of the dangers on the way to its acquisition. For nowhere is it more true that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, and it is one of the greatest of these dangers that he points out in his poem. Under the figure of Lazarus, he describes the man who has practically grasped the reality of the inner side of things, for whom the veil has been removed, and who knows that the external and visible takes its rise from the internal and spiritual. But the description is that of one whose eyes have been so dazzled by the light that he has lost the power of accommodating his vision to the world of sense. He now commits the same error from the side of the within that he formerly committed from the side of the without, the error of supposing that there is no vital reality in the aspect of things on which his thoughts are not immediately centered. This is want of mental balance, whether it shows itself by refusing reality to the inward or the outward. To be so absorbed in speculative ideas as to be unable to give them practical application in daily life is to allow our highest thoughts to evaporate in dreams. There is a world of philosophy in the simple statement that there can be no inside without an outside, and the great secret in life is in learning to see things in their wholeness and to realize the inside and the outside simultaneously. Each of them without the other is a mere abstraction having no real existence, and which we contemplate separately only for the purpose of reviewing the logical steps by which they are connected together as cause and effect. Nature does not separate them, for they are inseparable, and the law of nature is the law of life. Practical consciousness. It is related of Pythagoras that after he led his scholars to the dizziest heights of the inner knowledge, he never failed to impress upon him the converse lessons of tracing out the steps by which these inner principles translate themselves into the familiar conditions of the outward things by which we are surrounded. The process of analysis is merely an expedient for discovering what springs in the realm of cause we are to touch in order to produce certain effects in the realm of manifestation. But this is not sufficient. We must also learn to calculate how those particular effects, when produced, will stand related to the world of already existing effects among which we are proposed to launch them, how they will modify these and be in turn modified by them, and this calculation of effects is as necessary as the knowledge of cause. We cannot impress upon ourselves too strongly that reality consists of both an inside and an outside, a generating principle and a generated condition, and that anything short of the reality of wholeness is illusion on one side or the other. Nothing could have been further from Browning's intention than to deter seekers after truth from studying the principles of being. For without the knowledge of them, truth must always remain wrapped in mystery. But the lessons he would impress on us is that of guarding vigilantly the mental equilibrium, which alone will enable us to develop these boundless powers whose infinite unfolding is the fullness of life. Service. And we must remember above all the soul of life is love, and that love shows itself by service, and service proceeds from sympathy, which is the capacity for seeing things from the point of view of those whom we would help, while at the same time seeing them also in their true relations, and therefore, if we would realize that love, which is the innermost vitalizing principle even of the most interior powers, it must be kept alive by maintaining our hold upon the exterior life, as being equally real with the inward principles of which it is the manifestation. End of essay.